Yo guys, Neb here, and in this video I'm going to be giving you 15 tips to help you guys master your end games. So as you guys will know, there's going to be trio FNCS this year and some duo dream hacks I hear about. So as of chapter 2 season 5, I'm going to be giving you some trio and duo end game tips to help you guys perfect your rotates and your impact frags in the end game, and just some simple tips just to help you guys win your games. So hope you enjoy the video. Also, make sure you're using code YT-NEB in the item shop. It'll help me out way more than you think. And yeah, let's get into the video. Okay, so getting into tip 1, we have rotating always on the dead side and positioning yourself on the dead side for about the third zone when going into a stacked endgame. So as you can see here, we've sort of rotated right around the edge of the zone, and normally the dead side occurs on the side that is closest to the edge of zone, of which is filled with storm. So as you can see here, the third zone is right next to the dead side of where we are, and all of the players are on the congested side to the right there. Okay, so now quick into tip 2, we have sitting in a cone just to plan your rotate. So if you ever find yourself just sitting in your box, I strongly recommend just going into your cone quickly, plan your next rotate, tell your teammate where you're going to go, and just get a basic idea of where all the players are. As you can see, not too relevant, but we did see a player in the house behind us right here. Tip number 3. So if you ever hear somebody getting sprayed by an AR, you should always join in. We don't manage to get this kill and we realize he's building in metal, and he's already been killed, so we just stopped spraying at the guy. But that's a good example there. If you ever hear AR spraying at a wall, like lots of people at once, then you should definitely join in, as you have a good chance of being able to just pick off that kill on the guy who's generally scuffed on his in his box. So for tip number 4, unless you're scuffed, you should always be rotating through the dead side on the first or second moving, and this should basically just make sure that you're only using like 100 mats when you're doing so. Okay, so for tip 5, you should always be using crystals, 0-point fish or rift fish to rotate to the zone. As you can see here, we're going around dead side with the crystals naturally provided in the sand biome, and as you can see, we are not even taking damage. Like, the people, they'll aim in on us, they'll be ready to shoot, and as soon as they start to shoot their gun, we've already teleported 5 meters in front of ourselves, or 10 meters, and that just makes sure that we don't have to use mats, we don't have to waste time, it's really quick, and we're not taking any damage. So you guys should definitely be doing this, as it's absolutely game changing, and it will save you a lot of mats and resources for the later stages of the game. Tip number 6 is just simply staying calm. As you can see here, my teammate's getting sprayed, I just help him, and eventually the other opponents just give up in spraying us. Definitely the average player would start getting stressed in that situation, and it just really does help with your overall mentality when going through the game. So for tip numero 7, we have just acting confident, just to stop you guys from getting targeted. So right here, our walls are getting taken, so my teammate holds the wall, I do a quick Mongol classic, and then we're just pressuring them. We're shooting at them with no intention to really do damage to them or kill them. We're just doing damage to them to sort of make them back off and say, look, we know what we're doing. It's just going to scuff you over if you take this fight. So for tip number 8 is you're always going to want to be telling your teammates what you're going to do in this rotation. I see so many people just sort of wait for the zone to come right close to them, and then they'll just start rotating and they'll have no plan and they'll just be going anywhere. So if you look what we do here, I'm telling my teammate that he's going to drop me one of these fish, and we're basically just going to rotate over the builds in front of us, and that's what we do here. Okay, so for tip 9, you're always going to want to prioritize the risks over the rewards. So as you can see here, we're thinking about this rotate once again that I just discussed. But before we go, we just try another angle. So we go along to the other side, and then we realize that there's a team owning a wall there, and if we go past it, we could potentially get boxed, and then that could just put an end to our whole game. So we decide not to, and yeah, that just helps us stay alive. So tip number 10 is keeping calm during surge. So what I mean by this is, if you're ever below on a storm surge, lots of people tend to panic and then jump in people's boxes, and that normally puts an end to their game. However, what we do here is I tell my teammate to get to me quickly, and we're essentially going to look for a refresh, and basically that's going to give us the tags we need to get above the threshold. Okay, so tip number 11 links with that, and it's basically, if you ever need a refresh, you want to use exploits to basically be able to get the kill. Here I don't really use exploits, but it's sort of an example of if you're trying to get into somebody's box using an AR, you can sort of put a ramp below their box and it will always exploit you into their box. That's the same with if they're behind a ramp, you can always just spray at the ramp and that force from the floor below you will always push you through. Tip 12 is basically in your team, you're always going to want to have 1 or 2 players at the back of the tarp, looking back and stopping other players from coming through, while the IGL, me in this instance, is at the front tarping. For tip 13, you're always going to want to go as a solo and split up from your teammate if you're really scuffed and you have to play fully for your life. For example, here I get blocked by a rock and I have to go back into the zone to actually get out, while my teammate is keeping composed in the zone and maintaining a tarp for me if I come back into the zone to be able to get into and get back into the game. So what's happening here is my teammate's tarping and there's this guy trying to follow him. I hit him at 80 white and I just let him drop into the zone. And I know he's going to die there. Then my teammate drops down just to kill his teammate and then he gets straight back into the zone. As you can see here, as he comes in, he gets a really nice kill there as a drop of a fragger. He's managing to get kills on the low ground on all the scuffed opponents just to clear up some extra additional points towards our game. So for tip 14, it's going to be basically not taking height too early in the game, as that can just simply get you scuffed as you're using too many mats or getting sprayed by everybody on the low ground. As you can see right here, I did some nice piece control on that guy before he shockwaved away and I killed him in the zone. And this is just me taking height at the perfect time when it's late in the game, there's less people left, and people just tend to be less mats and easier to target. So that leads us on to the 15th and final tip, and that is basically not being too greedy. In this instance, it's because I dropped down way too early to get as many kills as possible, and we were too confident that we were going to win the game. So right here, there's just too many people shooting, so I just die in the zone and I'm quite stressed. Then the guy just takes height above my teammate after he knocks one, and yeah, we basically just get finished off there. We rushed it a lot at the end when we could have just stayed up at height and used our ARs and just been a bit more patient. Anyway guys, that concludes this video. If you haven't already, don't forget to follow my Instagram at fn_neb and also use my code YT-neb in the item shop. And yeah, good luck for this year of trios.